Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 12 of the Experience AV show. Today, we're going to be talking about InfoComm, but before we get into that, I'm Jim Maltese. With me, as always, Mr. Jeremy L. Cesar.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Man, it's going well. I think I might be enjoying the last day in Arizona that'll be sub 90 degrees. Today, I think, was our final day. So, man, the nights are getting shorter, days are getting longer, workouts are getting earlier in the morning, and we're
Yeah.
rapidly running towards 100 degrees, man. So I was thankful for today, but how are you? How's life? Nights are getting shorter.
That's great. Things are good. Things are good. Nowhere, we don't have that 90-degree days looming in front of us. But what I am just listening to and getting excited about, or not excited about, are the leaf blowers in my neighborhood. It seems like they are never ending. They are constantly there. It's a droning noise. It's just that motor going over and over and over again. But man, at the same time, once you notice it drives me crazy. I mean, everything looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but the sound drives me insane.
Is it happening right now while we're?
It is happening right now, and that's why, like, I have to shut the windows. I get a little heated up because I can't keep the windows open. But I'm constantly scared that that's going to bleed into my microphone, especially on shows and interviews and whatnot.
Gain Foster's like, it's 90 degrees in DC today. I'm like, so what's the humidity like, at the end of the day? So we talk about a dry heat here, right? So 90 degrees here feels like 75 or 80 degrees in your neck of the woods with like 60 or 70% humidity at the end of the day. Not like, look, once it gets over 110 degrees, it really doesn't matter. It is effing hot.
I remember I went about a year ago. I was out in Arizona. We took a hike and it was 106 degrees, and I sweat less hiking in Arizona in 106 degrees than I do in New York in 80-degree weather. It's just brutal. I come out just completely soaked. If you like to have that image in your head.
Yeah. Well, thank you for.
Did you just see?
Sharing
I'm sorry about that, man. I'm sorry.
That explains your sheen, your general daily sheen.
That's right. Gotta keep the skin lubricated.
Well, all right. Well, real quick, what's the update on Boy Scouts, man? I heard you guys had a big deal in the last 30 days. Deal.
Yes. So my son Lucas is no longer a Cub Scout. He is officially a Boy Scout.
Woo!
And we wasted no time. We had our first Boy Scouts, camp out, and it was, I don't know who it was harder on, him or I, because first time doing everything on his own, right? Setting up tents. He cooked, he cleaned. It was awesome. And then there's me, Cub Scout dad, and I prepared for this. I'm on I'm a leader, like I'm on the council stuff, and they say, oh, it's so hard to have Cub Scout leaders because they just want to jump in and do everything. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be that guy. But I was that
totally
guy.
Totally.
Yeah. Like, no. And luckily the leader of the troop is amazing. And he's just like, you know what? Don't go take a walk. He's going to fail. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible. No one's going to get hurt. But yeah, he's going to mess some stuff up. He'll probably waste a little bit of money here and there, but that's part of the experience. And it was great. And so some of the other leaders and I have like a deal set up where if we see one of our kids doing something foolish, we're not allowed to go to our kid. We kind of tap the other leader on the arm and say, hey, can you yell at my son for me? Kind of point him in the right direction.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it was so fun. It's so good. I'm so excited.
Congratulations to you and to Lucas. You and the other dads aren't trying to figure out how to murder the current Boy Scout leader so that you can take his position, are you?
No. No, there's enough work. Yeah, and that's the other amazing thing is that I'm still Cub Master for my daughter with the Cub Scout. So that's a lot. There's a lot of planning. It's a lot of doing. It's a lot of hands-on. And so now I just get to be an assistant Scout Master, where I just kind of sit back and make sure no one dies. It's awesome, and I get to go camping. I get to go whitewater rafting. I get to it's awesome.
That's
I'm
that's
so
awesome.
excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. Arrow of light, baby. Arrow of light.
That's right. That's right. Very proud Papa moment. That was good. I only cried once. It was good.
Well,
I'm counting that a win, man.
With your general, daily sweat,
yes, hopefully
probably nobody even noticed, right? It just blended right in.
That's right. Except no, they didn't. And then it's like I am what I am, Jeremy. I am what I am. But this Cub Scouting thing, it just like gets to me. Like I really love it. And so sometimes I'll be talking about something and I'll get a little verklempt and I'll start like bouncing a few words and lips quivering and whatnot. And then I'll hear one of the kids in the front row be like, "Is he crying right now?" I'm like, "No, come on. Of course not. You're crying." Yeah, I was crying a little bit. So they see it. They see it. But
Papa, you're Papa. You went. I am's what I am on that.
That's
Do you have any? I think you should maybe think about getting a Boy Scout tattoo. You got one of those?
I was thinking about it. So I've got one of my favorite quotes is into the. I have it on my wall, and into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul.
Yes,
and that is how I feel every time I get into the woods. I de-stress. I just feel good. I feel centered. I feel calm. My mind is free to wander a little bit. I get all my thoughts right. I love it.
I'm having to put some text here into the old book of faces. Mr. Watts, Mr. Watts has joined us and wants to understand the word that you used, which is one of my favorites. Verklempt.
Well, I can't. That's not even. I'm gonna go type in. I am what I am.
Oh wow!
That is also something that yes.
All right. So one last thing on the whole Boy Scout deal. I'm suggesting that you propose a new badge for tattooing.
Okay.
And that you and all the rest of the dads actually let the boys tattoo something on you as a way to get that badge. What do you think about that?
That sounds like a horrible idea, but I'm not saying no. I'm not quite saying yes, but I'm not saying no.
Hey, they can practice on small animals before.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I don't think we're going to be able to achieve the rated for all audiences.
No, yes, yeah, no, we're flagged.
Like, I got to stop this. Comedians are taking some serious heat in the U.S. right now. Don't come over and slap me, please. All right. One last thing on the personal side. Yeah, I've been enjoying having my time back from all of the band work that we've been doing. So kids finished out their winter drumline season. We took second place for our section. I personally think we should have taken first, but we didn't. Yeah. I think the judges were not paying close enough attention personally. But we're going into a nice summer off, and then we'll be back at marching band for the fall season when it comes up. But boy, it's been nice kind of having some time back. Other than that, not much going on in my personal life. Getting jazzed for going to InfoComm. The whole reason that we're here to talk about. Like,
that's the title. Hey. You going to InfoComm?
Hey, yeah, I'm going to InfoComm. You going to InfoComm?
Hell yeah, I'm going to InfoComm. Listen, it broke my heart last year. It was a funky show, but this year I'm stoked. I'm really excited.
Well, and last year was in October, right? They moved it from June to October, and we made the decision to not go as a whole company, which was like heartbreaking. We were supposed to teach. We were both lined up to teach together, as a matter of fact, CTSD prep, which is like one of my favorite opportunities, not necessarily teaching CTSD prep, but getting to teach with you in the same classroom, that is fun. But we decided to not go as a company with all the stuff. So, man, I was, ooh, here we go. I was verklempt last year. Leading up to, October with the pushback, and now we've had a whole nother year. So I cannot wait to see all of our friends.
Yes, it has been entirely too long. So I was for the show, I was looking up some history stuff about InfoComm just to kind of whet our appetite, and I was blown away by the history. Like you always see it, and then you always see it at the footer of the website and everything like that. But it is a storied past this industry association of ours has. It's pretty remarkable. It started out 1939 as the National Association of Visual Education Dealers, and then in 1940, you're horrible, NAVED, I guess NAVED, but
way to do the AV thing and boil it down to a quick acronym right there. They did that too. They were like, yes. NAVED. Yep, that works. Good. Okay. Keep taking us on this journey. This is great.
So 1946, they had the first convention in Chicago of NAVED. So that's 46. It's almost 80 minus 4. So 76 years. It's ridiculous. 76 years of industry association shows. And then NAVED became NAVA in 1949, the National AV Association, which I get that it's the national, so that's what ruined it. But the AV Association, I like that acronym.
NAVA.
I like that. I thought that's pretty baller.
I'd never go to InfoComm.
And then the best part, do you know what Jeremy, myself have in common with Bill Cosby?
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa, you might not want.
No. But we, all three of us, have been awarded the Educator of the Year award from the AV Industry Association.
What?
Bill Cosby received the AV Media Educator Award from NAVA in 1976.
Man, I've been trying to distance myself from Bill Cosby for a minute now, but that's pretty,
and interestingly enough, the infographic that had that kind of image on it predated his legal troubles, I guess we could say. So that's probably why they pointed it out. But hey, man, fame is fame, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. But all three of us, Educators of the Year. 1983, NAVA publishes the Basics of Audio and Visual System Design book. I thought that was pretty cool. So education, I'm sure it started out trying to educate, but really focusing on the dealing aspect of it. Come on, the white book. Fantastic.
This is the revised edition. This was not published in, let's see when it was published. When did you say it was published?
The first one was, 1983.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is probably multiple revisions. This one was in 2003.
Okay. Yeah, and then, so where am I? So NAVA then becomes the ICIA, and also in 1983, International Communications Industry Association, and they offer their first online course in 1997. And I don't think it was 2000 when I got introduced to the ICIA, but I still have folders on my computer like labeled ICIA. That's when kind of I was introduced to it.
What did ICIA stand for again?
International Communications Industries Association.
That was after NAVA?
After NAVA. Then it becomes InfoComm International, and that's where, in my opinion, everything just got so confusing, because they always had InfoComm the show. But when they became InfoComm International, then InfoComm just became InfoComm everything. InfoComm show, InfoComm education, InfoComm certifications, and that's what screwed my brain up. And so I know and appreciate. In 2017, they became a VIXA, the Audio Visual and Integrated Experience Association. I appreciate that, and I like the direction that they took with the name. But I can't call it a VIXA. Like InfoComm, I know InfoComm is going to pop out like 20 times during this show.
You know, you I still call it InfoComm, and it was back in 2017, but that one stuck for a while. I will tell a quick story about that rebrand that happened in 2017, because it was easily the most impressive marketing event I'd ever attended. I was serving on the education committee at the time, and they had invited us all back to the East Coast, and we were all in a hotel doing our committee meetings for a few days. And they brought us in, and Labuscus gave a keynote, and he introduced the whole idea of rebranding to a VIXA. It was the first time they were releasing it out to the public. And when we had all walked into the auditorium, all of the material that was out in the hallways was InfoComm, like we always knew it, 100%. And literally by the time we walked back out of that auditorium, everything had been rebranded over to a VIXA there. So it was as literally as if they forklifted the brand and put the new one. And not only that, but they went live with the website while we were in the room, with a coordinated email out to all of the InfoComm members. So it was like, you know, here's your champions all in this one room that are going to go back and explain while we're rebranding everything. It was so impressive, man. I was blown away.
That's some like David Copperfield level, like make the Statue of Liberty disappear type. That's incredible.
That's their marketing genius that works there with the crazy hair. And I can't remember his name right now, but I bet you Chuck would remember his name. And Chuck's on our feed, but that guy's amazing, man. Their marketing guru is fantastic.
Yeah. No, they have that dialed in. What was your first what was your first InfoComm experience, and what was your first InfoComm education experience?
Whoa.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I'm following along here on the web, and I almost have to look. So I keep a folder like every good nerd does in your Outlook for all of the InfoComms that you've ever been to. So if you give me just a moment here, I'm going to be able to answer that question for you. Boom. 2007, dude. 2007. So it was
Gain, Alan, everyone.
It was at Anaheim. This is when they were still hosting in Anaheim, because it hadn't gotten to the size of where they could only do it in Vegas or in Florida.
Wow.
And 2007 was like, what, 3 years after joining the whole AV industry. Dan, boom, thanks, Chuck. Dan, that's the marketing guy's name. That was like 3 years after joining the AV industry as a whole. So I remember showing up being like, whoa, there is a lot of free alcohol being served here. That is fantastic. You know, because I was a kid, man. Like I was really, really young back then and just getting started in the AV industry. And then you come to that show and it's like, what the F? Like you're excited about the industry when you join it, and then it just blows your head apart when you see all these other people from around the country and potentially coming in from other countries to join in the fun. It was a mind blower. And I mean, it was a big party, you know, the biggest AV party in the year. So that was my first InfoComm experience, was at Anaheim. And again, you know, getting to meet other people from other companies and hear and share, you know, the war stories, good, bad, and the other. But that was so amazing for me to be able to connect with other people, not only be able to, spend quality time with people at our own organization, but meet people that were doing the exact same thing we were doing at other organizations and commiserate in all the wonderfulness and all the pain and suffering that can come along with trying to deliver AV projects. And it was just, I think it was one of those moments where my whole perspective started to shift on the size of the industry and the power of bringing people together and sharing knowledge, even just stories and connecting and networking with people. We weren't bringing customers at that time, so it was pretty much focused on just looking at the technology and learning. Then you asked the second question, and I'll answer this, and I can't wait to hear yours because you're a little bit older than me, so you should have. I know. Well, it's one of the reasons you sweat so much, dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna get worse. You shouldn't have told me that, man. Like, shouldn't have told me that. All right. So, first education experience. This is gonna take a second, right? Because when I took my CTS certification, it was all online, including the test. You could knock it out. You could knock it out in a weekend. It was like 4 to 6 hours of online training, and then you took the test, and I have never let it lapse since then, ever. But I wouldn't necessarily so I did a lot of the online stuff that they did early on, but my first real education experience at InfoComm was with Brad Malone in his project management class early on.
The 3-day one, or like
it was the 3-dayer. It was the full 3-day project management for AV, and that was the moment that I knew in my heart that I was a project manager, and that the AV industry really needed everything that Brad Malone had to say, because boy, were we just bumbling around in the dark, is what it kind of felt like from a project management perspective. And I was so absolutely motivated and inspired coming back from that class that I wrote and rewrote our entire project management process based off of that class. And a lot of the concepts that we use today are still from Brad Malone and that project management. And that was definitely a moment where it was like, wow, there are so many incredible giants in our industry that have been solving these problems, and more importantly, are really excited to give that knowledge back to the industry and bring up the industry as a whole. And that just started a whole cacophony of training pursuit on my part through CTSI, CTSD, and tons of online training. Ended up, coming to teach, but we'll get to that part. Let's hear yours, man. Let's hear your first InfoComm experience and your first InfoComm education experience.
Yeah. So first InfoComm was 2001 when we started AVR, way back in the day. So I honestly can't remember it, but like you, I was just awestruck. It was so big. There was so many people. Here I am, like, thinking I'm hot stuff. I've been in the industry a few years at that point from some previous companies. Never made it to InfoComm, but once we started AVR, we were all in for InfoComm. Like that was our passion, and it was incredible. And I
where was it hosted? Sorry, where was it at?
That
where
I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember. I know 2004 was Georgia. I don't know. But yeah, just the show, and I remember sitting around with some of the education people and feeling like I was back at college. Like I some of my favorite memories of college are sitting around the dinner table and just listening to brilliant people. Kind of, we're all in engineering college, but different departments, different projects, and everything like that. And I remember feeling that same sense of excitement and just like passion and wanting to listen and soak it all up, because you go to the show with all these brand new people, you meeting and shaking hands and listening to their stories, and we're all kind of in that same college, we're all in the same industry, but people are coming at it from just different brains, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. It blew me away, and I loved that just sharing of information. And my father Mario was he had been big into education and elevating the industry and sharing processes and methods and stuff since the 70s. So I was not that I was part of the education at that point, but I was kind of going to those parties, and just falling in love with the industry and falling in love with the idea of the InfoComm show, like a place where, and I know it's the US show, but it's an international show, and just meeting people from all over the world. Oh, there you go. Alan Rook killing it. InfoComm was in Vegas appropriately. Makes total sense.
Oh, but it was at the Sands Expo and Convention Center, not the big guy.
Yeah. But
like the AV industry needs any more excuses to go to Vegas for anything.
And then my first education, so that was always our deal, because we were AVR was a very small company, and we knew we had to go to InfoComm every year if we wanted to keep up. And so a great way to do that would be to offer to teach a seminar, because they might fly you out, right? And then you get some free airfare and at least a free night stay. So hey man, I'm all about that. So I was just out of college. I think it was, I don't know, 2006 or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? Let's try and take some manufacturing practices, lean manufacturing and cell manufacturing, and apply that to AV. And so I was making the comparison of how having a project engineer instead of a project manager, an engineer and a technician, but kind of combining them into a project engineer would be more efficient than having different departments and different people working on that project. And we had fun with it. I had some demonstrations. It was cool about lean, but thinking back, it was just so naive, because I had only worked on small projects at that point, and so thinking that having one person to have all that know-how and knowledge and yeah, just skills, it can't happen anymore, So, but it was fun. It was fun. We built a widget. I think I had a few people come up and try to put something together and describe the difference between one person working the entire cell versus handing it off, and then what happens when there's a problem. So it was fun, and there are some lessons to be learned, but I certainly wouldn't teach the same course again.
Was that a 3-day course or like
just a
session
seminar
type thing?
Yeah, an hour seminar.
And so that's what you would that's your first education experience. That was the first time
as an educator. Oh yeah, as an educator. My first AV education experience was like you, is the essentials of AV. I haven't gotten this confirmed. I swear, when I took essentials of AV for the CTS certification, it was an online course, but they gave you a CD that you would put in your computer to play with like some supplemental videos. And I swear the guy on the video was Bill Nye. I can't confirm. I lost the CD. I don't know, but I really think it was Bill Nye, the science guy, who did like AV vignettes that would, learn about how to size a display and then watch Bill Nye describe it on the CD that would play with the network-based course.
So was that online or was that in person?
That was online.
Yeah, they've been in the online education game for a long time.
Yeah, since 1997.
Which I've always thought was super. Oh, you have your infographic there too. You've got it.
Who are you talking to?
Okay, so here, let me ask you another follow-up question. What was your first? Okay, so you actually just kind of gave it to us. The first seminar. that you taught and presented. Did you guys present every year after that? Like, did that continue for you? When did you start teaching actually for, I guess it would have been InfoComm then, Avixa now, at the InfoComm show?
So I think I have to look it up. In 2011 or 12, I assisted Scott Wills, who still is, I admire him so much as an educator. He was just such a brilliant guy. But I shadowed him in CTSI for 1 or 2 years at the show. And then in 2013, they're like, "Hey, do you want to try teaching CTSD too?" I'm like, "I don't know. Yeah, all right, let's try it."
That took no time at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes.
Yeah. No, you can't. I mean, come on, you can't say no, right? You gotta go big or go home. And if I thought I fell in love with the industry when I was, just kind of playing on the outskirts of education, man, meeting all the InfoComm of Vixa educators and volunteers and the people who put the InfoComm at that time, or ICIA at that time, content together. Oh my God, just it's such an incredible group of people, and continues to evolve, right? We've got all these people here: Justin Gain, Chuck, that group of educators with InfoComm and Avixa. They are an incredibly special group of people.
They are. You're reminding me now of my version of this story, which you were wouldn't even be a story without you, because you helped pave the path for me to join up and start teaching. But I was thinking back to how that came to be, and we became an education partner for AQAV. And so I was teaching the AQAV classes. I was teaching CQT and CQD, right? Okay. And I remember being in calls in the AQAV education committee with Mario, your dad, right? And they'd always be like, "Yeah, Jim, he's teaching for InfoComm again this year, so we can't count on him for any of the CQT, CQD classes." And I was like, wait a second. Does that mean I can teach for InfoComm? Because I love teaching CQD and CQT classes, but I also CTSD was the best certification I ever got in my entire career. It affected me more than any other certification that I ever got, right? So now let's time warp back. One of my first visits to the at that time InfoComm headquarters in Fairfax was for CTSI class. Mm-hmm. And it was that 3-day install class taught by Mr. Tom Kerr and Mr. Paul Streffen. Those were the two guys that took us through it. In fact, Alan Rook, who's on our live feed here, was with me. He took this class with me, and it was fantastic. I think I had a really unfair advantage when we went to take the final test. This is before it was ANSI certified testing when I got the CTSI. But they had a part where you had to calibrate a sound system and equalize a sound system. And I had Tom Kerr in my group because he was going for his CTSI as well. And so we're all like, Tom's going to equalize the sound system, and it's going to be fantastic. And it was group.
That's right. They had multiple people doing it. It wasn't totally. They had the video calibration and the audio stuff as groups, which was so weird. But yeah, that was
and awesome. It was Electrosonics box that we had to get in there and EQ. So we all just stood back. Tom EQ'd the system, and we all got our CTSI. It was fantastic, right? So
good.
So then fast forward, I took my CTSD as the 9-day boot camp, full on 9 days in Fairfax, one right after the other, right? Design 1, Design 2, Design 3. And then you go your butt home and you study some more and you take the test, because at this point it was ANSI certified. So you had to go to the testing course. And Tom Kerr was the primary instructor at that time, and Paul Streffen played a pretty significant. So it is literally like Justin said, right? These are AV royalty. This is big time industry mentors for me personally that I learned so much from. So now time warp back to what was the first year? Was it 17, 18 that I taught with you the first time? 17, I think it was 17.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it must be 17. 5 years? I think 5 years for sure.
Because you and I had started to talk a lot, and I was like, all like subtly, hey, you know, what does it take to teach for InfoComm? Because I had it in my head that it was just this, like, you had to be just this magnificent badass of a teacher, like, because that's how you looked at all the InfoComm teachers. Obviously that's not the case because you guys invited me in.
No, that is the case though.
But it was interesting because at that time when I had I can't remember who it is you hooked me up. It was Mandy. No, it was Mandy.
Yeah,
it was Mandy. Shout out to Mandy. I hope she's doing well. And Mandy, I think you were like, hey, I've got this guy, Jeremy's interested in teaching. And I think she came back to you and was like, well, do you want him to co-teach your class with you? And you're the only one, by the way, who doesn't have a co-teacher for your 3-day classes. And boom, bang, bada, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm teaching CTSD prep with you the next year. And it was amazing. So to fully round out this story, for those of you who don't know, when you teach for Avixa or InfoComm, these 3-day classes, on usually, I think it's usually the second night, right? No, maybe the first night, Saturday night. Because it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the 3 days before the show that the 3-day classes happen. And I think it's Saturday night. We do an instructor dinner, and all the instructors, the staff instructors and the volunteer instructors have a dinner. And that first year was one of the most heady experiences of my career, because I remember sitting down at the table and like looking left and looking right, and like there's Tom Kerr and there's Paul Streffen and there's, you know, Bill Natras and like all these just epic greats that I've either seen on video or been my mentors. And I was just like, I don't know if I belong at this table, man. Like, this is crazy. And it was, it was just such a mind-blowing experience to be sitting down as peers with these mentors that had given so much to me in the industry, which, you know, I think further highlights my personal mission within the industry, which is just to give back as much as I can, because so much was given to me.
Yes.
And we've become really good friends with all of these just fantastic, amazing instructors, and continue to build upon that camaraderie of the people that stand up and give back. And so I will just say, for anybody who's listening that has thought about participating in InfoComm and Avixa training, seminars, presentations, reach out, ask. We need so much of this program is built on instructors who are willing to volunteer their time and are passionate about giving back to the industry. And man, so Jim, thank you for being willing to take a chance on this crazy dude from Arizona and bring me into your CTSD prep class, because it was a absolute career game changer for me, and has been one of the most rewarding, fulfilling aspects of my career, hands down.
I completely agree, and it's the same from, you know, from my end as well, man. Like 100%. That was life changing. That was legitimately a life changing conversation. I just looked out. Yeah. But that instructor dinner is definitely one of my highlights. Like every year I look forward to that dinner, and it's the instructors are phenomenal, but we also get to hang out a little bit with the Avixa staff. And man, like they could write a book on customer experience, because they just treat you so well. It's not just they do excellently with the wining and dining stuff, but just how they treat you, how they make you feel so appreciated. They make you feel like warm, like royalty. It's they're just a very special group. They're a very, very special group over there.
Well, that was like, we've got some great comments going on here. We've got Elizabeth Peterson showing up. Hey, Elizabeth, great to see you. It's been a long time. And yeah, it definitely, shout out to the staff at Avixa who really put everything together and allowed us instructors to kind of show up and do our thing. Like you said, really rolled out the red carpet. And then Mr. Watts, of course, the overly humble man that he is quite fantastic and amazing. And one of the first people that I met when I started teaching with you many years ago, and have maintained an incredible friendship with Justin. And he's teaching again this year. He's teaching a really cool course. I was just looking at it the other day. He and the Justins are teaching how to effectively manage AV staff this year. So super excited to be back at that dinner table with Mr. Watts and Mr. Rexing.
Awesome. What a great idea for a 3-day course. That's really cool.
And I think it's their content, if I'm right. I'm probably getting this wrong, but that's okay. We didn't commit to it. But I think they might have been like, had a real heavy hand in actually developing the coursework, potentially. Or I could be completely wrong, and that's okay as well.
So yeah, what are you teaching this year?
I am getting an opportunity to teach for the first time NAVs, which is Network AV Systems, which is kind of funny. Like, when I started teaching with you, you're like, what sections do you want to take? And you immediately gave me all the network section of CTSD. CTSD, you're going to teach this. You're going to teach the network. You're going to teach the power side.
Yeah.
So I've actually really wanted to teach this class and was slated to teach it last year, but had to back out for all the reasons that we weren't able to go. And I'm teaching, and this is going to be an incredible experience, with Paul Streffen. Again, one of my mentors, one of the early instructors that brought me along, is my co-instructor for Network AV Systems. So we're excited. Get to pull out some network gear and Wireshark and get real deep into how you can start to inspect what's going on in a network, since really most of what we're doing in AV today is sitting on network switches, which, from an old school network IT guy, I've been waiting for this moment for many, many years, to where AV is really truly just another IT protocol sitting on the network and be able to realize all of the value and benefits. So, man, that's what I'm teaching. What are you teaching?
Yeah, and before I answer, like, I was always blown away at the equipment they bring in for NAVs, because it's not just like you're sitting there listening to some guy talk about networks for 3 days. You're actually like doing stuff, and it's sounds like a great course. And that's one of the problems with teaching a 3-day course is you don't always get to experience, you don't always get to be a student there. So, but this year I'll be teaching CTSD prep again. I really enjoy teaching this course. It doesn't have kind of the nice storied path that a typical CTSD class has, where you go through a project, a class project, and you take it through all the milestones of a proper design, and you just have a nice complete story at the end of the 3 CTSD classes. CTSD prep is just like, all right, hit me with the highlights, remind me of stuff that I'll need for the exam. Not that we can prepare you completely for the exam, because education and certification are separated, but give me the highlights. And I'm going to be taking this exam in days, so I am stoked and excited and ready to go, and just feed me. So it is like an intense 3 days, and I thrive off that. We talk about calculations. We get the verbiage right. We talk about test taking techniques. I like the class a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know you like the class a lot. You are so very passionate about that particular class, and it's such a strap a fire hose to your
Yes.
face for 3 days. Like, man,
Yes.
having taken the 9-day boot camp, like, and I thought the 9-day boot camp was like not enough time. It felt like just almost a relaxing spa day compared to what the CTSD prep class is. I was always blown away at how much content we covered with not a lot of opportunity to stop and really expand too far. Like, you should already know this stuff, and we are just rapidly going through it very quickly. Although, there was that year where they gave us the ability to do the breakout sessions. Do you remember that year?
Yes.
And that was really
three
cool.
of them in one room, right? That was awesome.
We implemented, like, hey, if you're struggling with a topic, drop a note into a bucket and we will do a breakout session for the people that wanted to know. I ended up doing subnetting as one of my breakout sessions. And I think we had Tom come in and do a power breakout session. I thought that was a really effective tool to use in a CTSD prep.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I thought that was so cool, and it added like a choose your own adventure element to the class, And so if you were struggling, we kind of condensed some of the topics, so we had a little bit more time for those breakout sessions. And that year, we were lucky enough to have 3 instructors plus the floating Avixa instructors. And so we were able to have 3 different groups in that one room. We had 3 smaller displays and flipboards. So I think you had subnetting. I took a little bit of like stability and PAGNAG stuff, and Bill had just project management going. That was a fun way to do that class.
Speaking of Bill, who are you teaching with this year? Is it just you?
I get the privilege of hanging out with Mr. Natras, Mr. Bill Natras of Bill and Jay's Tequila Adventure.
I was debating whether or not the Tequila Adventure was going to be brought up in this little podcast here.
No, I don't know if it's. We'll see. We will see. We will see what happens this year.
The last couple of years have been dicey.
Yes. Well, there was the whole security incident. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
You stuff 150 of your closest friends in a 2-room hotel room with 37 bottles of tequila, I mean, allegedly, I've heard that might be what the event is.
I cannot confirm or deny. But my God, if going out to dinner with AV gods for an instructor dinner is fun, like sharing sips of tequila with industry gods at a random hotel room on the last night where everyone's just completely shot and exhausted and ready to have a good time. That's another pretty epic experience.
Yeah, I remember again writing your coattails because you knew those guys before I got into that first year. I think we always show up with a bottle, right? You have to, it's kind of the thing. You gotta show up with a bottle. But I remember, like, I'm gonna tuck myself into the corner because, like, that's the guy that runs Google, and that's the guy that runs just like serious big names happening in that room. Big consultant names in there, and now it's these are all friends and people that know us from the industry. But like you said, just especially the first time there's a huge starstruck element to it for sure.
Yes.
So what are you most looking forward to this year? If only one thing could be named.
Only one thing. No, it's the same answer that I believe most people who've been to InfoComm will be, but it's seeing the crew.
Yeah.
It's just seeing people who, you go to InfoComm and there's the business aspect of it, and you make connections, you check in with dealers, but really the take home is, man, I got to hang out. I got to sing karaoke with Chuck and Jeremy, and I got to hang out with Justin. And when I say try Justin scotch, I don't mean the scotch that Justin brought. I mean Justin's Scotch. Like he owns a Scotch company and he brings a bottle and just hang out and find out what's going on in their lives. And it's, don't tell the bosses at level 3, but just going to hang out with some friends, and you're always going to sneak in AV stuff, right? We can't help it because we are that passionate about the industry. So you are elevating yourself, you are elevating the industry there, but you're just having such a good time doing it. So I'm looking forward to seeing the
too much fun. Like there's an element where there's almost like you feel a little guilty having as much fun as we have.
I know. Trying to explain it to my
funny.
wife.
Justin just hit you up. You totally called it Scotch. I know what he's tight. It's not Scotch. It's bourbon. And Justin, I would like to formally put my request in for a bottle of Yellow Rose. If you can,
I misspoke.
You should apologize.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's like Avixa, InfoComm. It's a mental thing that I have. I am so sorry. It's bourbon. Correct.
It is bourbon, and it is a very fine bourbon.
It is a very fine bourbon.
Did not last very long when I was lucky enough to get my bottle last time. So, Mr. Watts,
my one problem with it. Yeah,
I'll pay for it too. I'll bring fun. Bring two. Bring two. If there it is. He's got it, man. That was a one to show up to the tequila party with, and that's you show up to a tequila party with a fine bourbon, and then one to bring home and enjoy.
And the just another fun memory, because Justin just mentioned that I'm getting the Malort. So Malort is just a wicked tasting liquor, which isn't even that strong. It just tastes god awful, and it tastes so god awful that there is a website dedicated to the Malort face, which is pictures of faces of people who just took a sip, their first sip of Malort, and it is endless photos of people making this face over and over again.
Thank you for demonstrating.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Look it up. It's good.
No, I know. So I know about this foul thing that is, it's like become a thing, right? Like Jeremy Caldera, like it's a Chicago thing too, right? Isn't it originating in Chicago? And then it's like they want you to drink it, and I'm like, look, I'm not getting jumped into the Malort gang here. I don't feel need to just drink.
Well, and as much as I don't want it to taste it again, I am glad I did it. It's like it's an experience. It is, and just like InfoComm and Avixa, it started in Chicago, like the first National AV Association show in 1946, held in Chicago.
So it was introduced in the 30s. Malort was introduced into the 30s. So maybe there's a connection there.
I think there definitely is. But no matter what, Malort is in the roots of AV.
And still strongly rooted in AV. And
you have to keep traditions alive.
Well, I think poor souls that get introduced to this stuff are scarred forever, and I have tried to stay away from it thus far. So if you have to pick one thing, it's definitely coming back together with the whole industry and getting to spend a week with your closest friends. Ranging from educating the next generation of AV folks that are looking to take their knowledge up, to hanging out with manufacturers, to just spending time in person. I was at the PSNI Super Summit last week, and it was 4 days of not having a video call. I literally just interacted with people in real life. I'm actually even pretty good at taking pictures with my phone, and I took like almost no pictures the whole week because I just didn't want to have a device between me and another human being. And it felt honestly quite weird to not be doing a video conference call
Right.
all week long and just be talking to people in person. And so it was a bit of a primer for me, because a lot of our friends are in the PSNI network or vendors, and got to see them for the first time. I had not traveled in 20 months. It had been 20 months since I had been on a plane. I counted it back. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
And I still don't understand how I'm maintaining my A-list status with Southwest. They just keep extending it year after year in the hopes that I'm going to come back and start traveling again. So I was looking at the schedule at a glance, and so just some good info for those of you who have stayed this far into the show. They've got a Friday, but that's really just the startup of education. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are all the 3-day courses, right? As it always has been before. And boy, there's some killer 3-day courses, right?
They really switched it up.
Well, you've got CTS prep. So for people looking to go take their CTS exam, the powerful Chuck Espinosa and Jeremy Caldera, which, man, I don't know how they convinced them to let them keep teaching together. And they let me and you teach together 2 years, and they were like, you guys are having too much fun. We need to break you up and separate you and have you teach other classes. Then you've got you and Natris teaching CTSD prep. You've got Steve Riley and Keith Yandel teaching CTSI prep this year.
Very good.
Lisa Perini and Dirk Propfee coming back for design thinking. I've always wanted to take that class. And it's funny you mentioned, like, the one downfall of being an instructor is you don't get to take the classes generally, generally speaking. How to effectively manage AV staff. That looks to be like a great technology manager class, right? People who are managing teams and technology at end users. Networked AV systems by yours truly and Paul Streffen. And then there is also the networking technology for AV professionals. So that's kind of a core knowledge being taught by Mr. Gain Foster and Caleb Nelson. So what a great lineup of 3-day courses. Bummed, admittedly, not to see the project management class by Mr. Malone. He's usually in the lineup somewhere, and just incredible content all the way. So one thing I noticed, though, is that Saturday, Sunday, Monday is 3-day courses. Tuesday is that's like kickoff day. It's not when the show floor opens, but they usually do opening reception on Tuesday in the afternoon. They hand out the Young AV Professional Awards and all the awards. And I don't think it's happening this year, at least. Looking at the schedule at a glance, they've got CTS testing. They're doing their integrated experience tour at the UNLV campus. And then they're starting audio rooms and manufacturers training, but I don't see a opening ceremony this year. So I'm curious what's going on there.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
unless maybe they just haven't put it in yet, because I know they're planning some things on the floor, and so maybe they just haven't published that yet. But I'm hoping they still have that opening reception, because that was just beautiful way to say hi to everyone and kick it off right.
Oh, I loved the opening reception, and it was nice. It was kind of like you had a bit of a down day between the 3-day education classes and going right into the show, and then you kind of ramped it back up for the opening ceremony. And then so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's the actual show, right? Show floor opens, ribbon cutting Wednesday morning, all of the show to see with tons of education seminars, sessions. Are you teaching anything else? Do you have any other?
Funny. Yes, I am.
I thought you might.
On Tuesday at 10:30, I will be teaching a 1-hour seminar called Creating a Consistent User Experience at Scale. It's just a recipe of best practices for enterprise AV clients, where if you want to be able to estimate, strategize, deploy, and maintain a whole bunch of AV systems around the world without just constantly putting out fires. Hopefully, we'll get into some best practices on how to keep that manageable.
Nice. What day is that? What day is that?
That's Tuesday.
Nice.
That's Tuesday at 10:30, and then on Wednesday at 11:30, I get to teach with some funky guy named Jeremy about intelligibility. So we're going to be doing. Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
I can't believe they let us do this.
I know. What was that? Was that episode 2?
It was maybe episode 4. It was a brutal one though.
All right. Yes, that was the one we had to tape a number of times. So we're fluent in what we want to say, at least. But we'll be doing a 1-hour seminar on the STIPA intelligibility measurement, and so we'll have some fun. It'll be hands on. We'll have some talk boxes, some generators, some analyzers, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of measuring intelligibility. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, so for any of you who have been listening since the beginning or heard some of those early podcasts, the idea for this session came from one of our Experience AV podcasts where we did intelligibility testing of face masks. So we thought we'd get serious for this session and focus on STIPA, but definitely going to bring some fun masks in. Yes, Justin, that is when we were having major audio problems with the podcast. We've come a long way. We were ready 30 minutes ahead of time today. It was fantastic. All right, we've come a long way. It was a brutal learning curve early on there. What else you got? Is that it? No,
I'm going to be doing like a little. They called it a vignette, but I haven't heard when. So they're going to be having me do like a 20-minute thing on AV analytics somewhere on the show floor, but I haven't nailed that down yet. And
what do they call that? Is that like center stage?
Could be. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I'm not exactly sure when that's happening, or if it's just going to be like a pop-up dealie that they'll announce the day of. But I'm prepared for that one as well.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I'm so excited that you got as much airtime as that we've been given for this show. So like you mentioned, Navs, I'm doing the STIPA session with yourself. Got to give a shout out to Fred Laux, our CTO, who's going to be teaching, not teaching, but doing a presentation on monitoring. His session is IT 03 monitoring meeting rooms and the journey towards a single pane of glass, which I think is going to be, really fun and poignant in today's AV systems. So be sure to check that out.
Yeah, for my money, that's where AV services are going, because deploying the bread and butter rooms is it's kind of slimming out a bit, but knowing how to manage them and knowing how to analyze that data and getting a return on that data in terms of just better planning, better customizing space and infrastructure for the users based on their usage. I think that's just really exciting stuff.
Totally agree. Well, buddy, we've hit our hour. You've stayed your hour. I just want to say that I'm so excited to see you at InfoComm. I'm so excited to see everybody that joined our session today, and anybody who wants to hang out in June, give us a ring, give us an email, smoke signal, anything. We would love to spend some time with you and can't wait to see everybody in June.
Absolutely. And, just thank you, Avixa. Thank you, InfoComm. Thank you, ICIA. Thank you, NAVA. Thank you, NAVED. You've built something incredible, and it is wonderfully appreciated. I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today without you. You've definitely played a very large role in my life.
I couldn't imagine our industry without InfoComm.
Yeah.
All right. See everybody in Vegas in June.
Cool.